Oh, yes, everybody, and welcome to the Bet Park Studios for week 3 of Mark and the Maniac. I'm Mark Feldman. He's Maniac Malloy. Not one, not two, but we are here for the third time. Maniac, we are here again to do some more football talking.
We are. At least you didn't say hello to get it started. I liked your intro this week.
I appreciate that.
You fired up? You're working on it?
I'm fired up. I'm working on it.
We're doing God's work here. We're doing God's work, trying to make the people money. Week 2's in the books. Any takeaways from week 2 for you? Let me hear your takeaway, Mark.
Honestly, I think the biggest takeaway for me for week 2 of the NFL season is there are a lot of teams that are undefeated and playing well that I did not expect. And we're going to get to that and talk about that in a little bit. I did do it one time.
So you're going to ask me?
I am going to ask you, what's your biggest
takeaway? My biggest takeaway right now is that the Eagles in this very given moment, they are not better than the San Francisco 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm worried. I really am.
Wow.
I think that those two teams are way better.
So you think the Birds are third in the NFC?
Third in the NFC, yep. A little surprised by the Saints. We'll get to that. The Saints are,
we will.
A lot of people pick the Saints to get that number 1 seed, possibly. Maybe a, lack of strength of schedule and Derek Carr coming into town and people kind of thought the Saints were going to be somewhat of a juggernaut. They are who they are.
They are who they are. That's going to be the line of the day.
They're not a world beater yet. And I think the Eagles are the same way. They got a lot to prove on Monday Night Football versus the Bucs. They got to blow them out.
I agree with you. Let's get into the show without further ado, as they say on Broadway. Without further ado. Did I say that?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find out. Here we go. First question of the day for you.
First question.
Which of the 3 winless teams has the best chance to win on the money line this week? We got 1, the Broncos, 2, the Panthers, or 3, the Bears. Which of those 0-2 teams are you taking this week?
Who do the Broncos play? Do we know?
The Broncos play at the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, man, Miami looks pretty tough.
So who are you thinking out of those 3?
Out of those 3, can I pick no one?
Wow. You think, yeah, you can. You think all 3 teams go winless again?
I mean, the Bears, there's no way in hell they're going to beat.
Talk about getting to that in a little bit.
That'll be the week that they do. That'll be the week that they do win, right?
Exactly.
Panthers, they are the worst team in the NFL. I'm going to stick with that. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. The Panthers are terrible. And I don't know. Like Bryce Young, he would have been a great quarterback to sit and watch for like a year or two. When I was growing up watching the NFL in the like late 90s, 2000s, it was a customary thing to have a first round quarterback get drafted and sit and watch somebody else instead of throwing them in there to get their head beaten, throw a million interceptions, play like crap, lose their confidence. That's a guy that I think could really have benefited from somebody, to watch and kind of learn from. So I don't think the Panthers are going to win against, who do they got?
They got Seattle.
That's right.
On
Seattle.
the road.
Seattle on the road. Bryce Young going into Seattle.
Yeah.
There's no chance in hell they win that game.
Okay.
If I had to pick,
yeah,
because they're desperate, maybe.
Don't do it.
The Broncos, maybe. But if really the truth is, I wouldn't take either of these teams. I think you're going to have 3 0-3 teams, going into week 4. So don't take any of these teams. But if I had to, I guess I'd take Russell Wilson and the Broncos. They are absolutely desperate. They kind of seem to get it together a little bit. They played a great first half of football against the Commanders. I don't know, though, if they can put a full game together and take down one of the juggernauts, which is the Miami Dolphins. So I would take nobody.
Clearly, all 3 of those teams are underdogs, and that's why we're asking the question, because it's interesting. I think you could make a case for at least 2 of the 3 teams. I think if somehow Bryce Young goes crazy, I could see the Panthers. I don't think Seattle's that good, but my answer would also be the Broncos, and I think the main reason for that is, 1, Russell Wilson's the best of those 3 quarterbacks of the teams we're talking about between Fields, between Justin Fields, Bryce Young, and Russell Wilson. I would take Russell Wilson still. But I just think the Broncos defense, if they're on for one day, they could shut down Tua, and I think they would have a chance of keeping that high-powered Miami offense down low, and I think the Broncos would have to win a game like 17-16. If you put a gun to my head, would I pick the Broncos? No, but out of those three, I would take the Denver Broncos to win and get to 1-2 in the season.
So we're in agreement there. Can we come to agreement on something else?
Let's do it. I think we have a very exciting agreement that we got to talk about right now. Let's give people a parlay, a 1 o'clock and a 4 o'clock parlay.
You're going to pick the 1 o'clock?
I'm going to pick the 1 o'clock game. Give me the Chargers. 1 o'clock, they face the Minnesota Vikings. They're due. Preseason pod, I said Justin Herbert was
desperate
MVP.
teams.
Two desperate teams, both 0-2. I said Herbert was going to be MVP, and I said the Chargers were going to make a Super Bowl. Not looking so great right now, but if it's ever time for the team to pick it up, give me the Chargers. I think Minnesota, we saw them last week against the Eagles. I don't think Minnesota's good at all. I'm saying the Chargers win outright on the road in Minnesota. Give me the Chargers as a 1 o'clock parlay. You've got the 4 o'clock?
I got the 4 o'clock game. I got the 4 o'clock lock. Give me the Seahawks. We were just talking about how bad the Carolina Panthers are. At home, Bryce Young, no way he's going to go into Seattle and have a good game. You just said maybe he could go nuts. He's not going nuts. He's going nowhere fast. And I think they're going to end up winless for a few more weeks, I think. I mean, there was nothing I saw. I mean, cripes. Miles Sanders wasn't even in the game at the end of that fourth quarter. They kind of like took him out. I don't know what's going on with that. Chuba Hubbard was getting the carry.
We know about Sanders' issues with
Miles Sanders. I mean, that was like their big signing. They should have signed a wide receiver. I mean, Adam Thielen had a nice little game in fantasy, but because they had to drop back and throw the ball a million times. I think they definitely cover the -5.5. So we'll lay the points, take the Seahawks at home with the Chargers moneyline victory over the desperate Vikings. I think the key question in your game is going to be Austin Eckler, if he's going to play or not. We saw DeAndre Swift go absolutely berserk on their team, on their, running the ball. Eckler could have a huge game if he's healthy with the ankle. If not, Joshua Kelly is going to get the start. He's a pretty good running back too. Herbert throwing the ball. Eagles put up 34 points on them. I think you're going to see the same result from the Chargers, and I think the Chargers are going to get the job done.
I also think the win against the Lions for Seattle, I think that's a game that Geno Smith can get a lot of confidence from. 38 points going up and down the field. Even though the Lions defense not amazing, that's the type of performance where he can carry that in. So we're going Chargers, Seahawks. That's our parlay.
Chargers, Seahawks.
Book it. All right, let's move on to another segment. We both had some rough...
I hope people love Bears and Packers.
The Bears and Packers talk. That's part of the Mark and Maniac show.
It's part of the show because you want a free steak dinner so bad. That's what it
Prime. Is. I cannot wait.
I would love to go to KC Prime with you, whether I'm paying or not. But
we're going to have a blast in January, no matter what. But let's talk about this. Both of our teams lost this week.
Man,
the Bears, a tough loss to the Buccaneers, 27-17. Fields was not good. There were some plays on Twitter and TikTok where there were guys wide open.
People are giving up on them.
People are giving up on them. They're struggling right now on offense, the Bears. The Packers, that's a bad loss to the Atlanta Falcons. They're up the whole game. They blow the game to Desmond Ridder at the end. And then the play that's going viral is when he fumbles. Oh, my gosh. What's his name? The quarterback. My brain's
Jordan
going
Love?
Thank you. Jordan Love, when he's trying to do a QB sneak doing the famous Eagles play, and he stumbles into the center's right butt cheek.
He looked like me after the Eagles game.
Yeah. How many beers was in Jordan Love during that?
Wow.
But both quarterbacks had not great moments this week. What'd you think about our bet? The Packers are 1-1. The Bears are 0-2. We both can't really brag this week, but I'm still up a game.
It's a 1-game lead. That's all it is.
That's it?
That's all it is. The Bears are going to lose this week.
You're already putting it out there.
They're going to lose. So I'm going to be the Bears are going to be 0-3.
What do you think about Packers Saints? I'm taking the Packers, but that's more heart over
I've been
head.
very high on the Saints.
Yeah, I know you are.
The Saints, they are still, like I said, not a juggernaut yet. I think they can be very, very good. Their defense is very good. I think that it's a nice matchup. I think the Packers are actually favored in the game by 2 points right now, at this very moment at 12 o'clock on Wednesday.
Packers are favored by 2. They are at home. That matters. Home. Saints struggle outdoors.
Usually you get 3 points.
Yeah, that's true.
Given being the home team. I think we're going to be looking at a 0-3 Bears
and a 1-2.
team, a 1-2 Packers.
Well, I hope you're wrong because I need the Packers to win. I need some advantage over you, some separation.
Saints got to win this game too. They got to win this.
Yeah,
game.
They need to.
I like the Saints money line outright.
They need to keep up with the Falcons because the Falcons are 2-0. But It's going to be interesting. Speaking of the NFC South, a local tie this week because the Philadelphia Eagles travel down to Tampa. I'm expecting it to be a Philadelphia home game. We're going to get to the bad beats in just a second. We're going to change that up because I want to go with the NFC South. But let's talk about Eagles-Buccaneers preview. So many Eagles fans are expected there. The Bucs and the Eagles, the only two teams that are 2-0 facing each other. I'm kind of curious, what are your early initial inputs and thoughts on the game?
I think it's a nice little story that the Buccaneers have going on, and I bet you they feel pretty good about themselves going 2-0.
I feel like there's a butt coming.
Baker Mania is absolutely taking over South Florida at the moment, but I think they get exposed.
I love it.
Monday Night Football versus the Birds. It's going to be a battle of the trenches. It might not be, a very, high scoring game. But I think the offensive and defensive lines of both of these teams are going to really dictate who's going to win. That's the strong suit of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is their O and D line. But let's not forget, that's really the strong suit of the Philadelphia Eagles, too. So I think they match up well. Baker Mayfield is not going to be able to keep up with the scoring of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles need a breakout game here. They absolutely do. People are kind of blowing cold on the Birds right now. They're going to need to come out in front of the world on Monday Night Football and smack these dudes, and I really think they're gonna.
Okay.
So I lay the 5 points, take the Birds. I like them to win both
score?
halves. I think they're going to end up winning the game, let's say 31-20.
Okay. I like that score. I think
20 is a lot of points, too.
I think a key X factor in this game
I think they get in the 30s. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I think a key X factor in this game is the Eagles secondary against those high-powered Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receivers. I don't think Baker Mayfield's good at all, but if Eagles secondary, which could be banged up, we don't know about Reed Blankenship, Avonte Maddox out for the year with a torn pec. Ken Slay.
He's always hurt, by the way.
Always hurt. It's so annoying. Ken Slay, Ken Bradbury stay in front of Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And can they just do enough? Because I think the Eagles offense is going to score. I think this is the first game where this offense, everyone's like, that's the team we believed in the preseason. Goddard has a big game. The A.J. Brown mini saga, that is, I think, is a bunch to do about nothing. But I think the Eagles offense dominates, and I think they're going to score in the 30s. I'll give my score in a second. But if the Eagles secondary can just do enough to carry and stop the wide receivers of the Buccaneers, I think they'll stop the run of the Bucs. If they can stop Baker Mayfield on that passing offense, I could see it being a blowout. I'm going 34-17 Eagles.
I like that.
I like
Mike Evans. If you have him in fantasy football, trade him right now.
Do you have him in fantasy football? It sounded like a personal experience.
Trying to shop him right now.
He actually had a big game last week, though.
Oh, he had a big game week 1 too.
Yeah.
But that's perfect time. Let's get rid of him
when he's selling high.
Let's sell high on Mike Evans. I think that Bradbury and Slay shut him down this weekend.
I like that. Let's move on, and let's actually go back to last week for a second. This is something we both talked about before the show that I think is something important to bring up. A few bad beats that affected the bettors out there. We'll take one at a time here. The first one, the 49ers-Rams game. The Rams are down 10. There's 3 seconds left on the clock. They call timeout, and they kick a field goal. The Niners were favored by 7.5, and the Rams hit a walk-off field goal to lose by 7. You're a big bettor. How did you feel about that? And I feel like a lot of people were pissed off about that field goal.
Well, luckily I wasn't on the wrong side of that. I didn't bet that game.
Lucky.
I did take the San Francisco 49ers in a parlay money line, but that was very chalky. They were like -4 something.
But a walk-off field goal to lose by 7?
Field goal. What was that?
McVay was like, timeout.
What did we see there? Was he hoping that they would be able to kick the field goal within it takes about 3 to 4 seconds for a field goal to happen, like snap through the uprights.
Don't you want to give Matthew Stafford more like time to practice offense instead of just a field goal kick?
That's got to be one of the worst beats in the history of NFL football betting.
Something I saw was that the 8th, someone said, like, if you really want to defend Sean McVay, the 8th tiebreaker, if you go all the way down in NFL standings, is points scored against division rivals.
Wow.
And he thought, and one guy, it was the producer of Mike Greenberg's show on ESPN,
so
Embo.
That makes sense.
And he was like, he was like, the 8th tiebreaker is points against division rivals. It's like starts with head-to-head.
So we might as well just take.
He was like, let me get 3 points in case, in January we're 8-8 for the 7th seed in the wild card.
That makes.
What do you think about that?
You know what? That makes me feel a little bit better of like whether or not
so smart.
This is a scripted, there's no way. I don't believe
No
in
way.
That. But that was painful. I knew the spread, and I'm watching this. I'm like, oh my gosh. As they were driving the ball, I was thinking to myself, a lot of these teams lately have been doing the kick a field goal and try to get the onside kick if you're down 10.
With 3 seconds.
But like with 3 seconds left, you think they would just run the ball, get out of there. But I guess that makes sense for the points as one of the tiebreakers. So
that makes sense.
I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah.
My mind, I've been just wondering what the hell was that about.
The other
bad beat. I was on the wrong end of this one.
You had the Saints -3.
That was my pick last week against the spread.
Correct. The Saints were up 20-9 with like 3.5 minutes left.
20-9.
And Dennis Allen, who's the head coach, but also calls their defensive plays. He goes to the most prevent defense I've ever seen. I think 2 of the safeties were hanging out on rally. They were so far off the field. The Panthers go 75 yards in under
2 minutes.
And
they hadn't moved the ball all game long.
Bryce Young had no touchdowns until there, and then he throws a 2-point conversion to Adam Thielen, and the Saints win, but they only win 20-17. You had a -3, so it's a push instead of them blowing out.
You're forgetting too that they got the 2-point conversion.
That's what I'm saying. He threw to Adam Thielen for the 2 points, so it was 20-9 to 20-17. I actually feel bad for you.
When you're watching that game, when they get the ball there in that spot, you're like, they're going to score a touchdown.
You had a bad feeling.
It's like watching a car crash. You're like, you can't look away, but you almost don't want to watch. You got to hope and pray. But I knew it was coming, and I was like, and they're definitely going to get the 2-point conversion too.
Of course, just because
I know
bad beat.
I know they're going to get it. Well, it really wasn't a beat; it was a push.
That's true.
But it felt
when you were so confident the Saints were going to cover that 3. It does hurt when
I'd rather lose than push.
Yeah,
that's not true.
But you wouldn't exactly.
Man, that one really stung. That one stung.
That hurts. I feel bad for you about that one. But you have a chance to redeem yourself because it is time for an underdog moneyline pick of the week. So my question, Maniac, who that is an underdog on the BetParx app for week 3 of the NFL season? Who do you have? And then I'll give my pick.
Okay, so for an underdog, there's not a lot of great money line underdog picks this week. There's a lot of close games. We already spoke about the Chargers. I think the Chargers money line against the Vikings is the pick for sure. But we already talked about that.
And that's in our parlay.
So I'll give you 2. So I'll give you 2. We'll keep that as part of the parlay with the Seahawks. My underdog pick of the week is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Las Vegas Raiders. Money line, currently they're about plus 115. They don't win that game against the Browns without that turnover late in the game. Deshaun Watson, he didn't play very well. Jimmy G, I don't think he's going to play very well against that defense. So give me the Steelers outright to beat the Raiders in a Sunday night primetime game. Huge rivalry game for people that are born in 19-dickety-doo. I do think that that's going to be a nice game, very fun watch. Give me the Steelers outright over the Raiders.
Okay. I told you before we started today I would take the Raiders outright, but I think it's such a toss-up. I think it's such a toss-up that whoever wins would not shock me. But my pick for this week, it's also a close line. I am taking the Jets. They're +3, but I'm taking them money line at -114. I think they're going to be the Patriots. They haven't beaten
plus 114.
Yeah, plus 114.
You said minus, so either way,
plus 114.
So you're taking the Jets.
I'm taking the Jets against the Patriots. They have not beaten Bill Belichick and the Patriots in 13 straight times. I think that ends this Sunday. I like the Jets. I just think that defense is going to shut down Mac Jones. I'm not a Zach Wilson fan at all. I just think maybe a little Sauce Gardner pick 6.
Ooh, Mac Jones likes to throw him.
He does like to throw him. We saw pick 6 against the Eagles, big play Slay week 1. So Mac Jones is used to throwing them. I'm going with the Jets.
They made it a close game against Miami, though. Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots did. Yeah, their first 2 games have come down to inches. The game against the Eagles, and then when they lateraled it, it was like that 1 inch of a ball, of a lace to get the first down. But give me the Jets. I think they win a low-scoring game, 2017. Give me the Jets outright. Now, the next question, Maniac, your spread pick. Who are you taking this week on the BetParx app?
My spread pick, like I said earlier, I'm just going to keep it simple.
Yeah,
I'm going to stay on course here. Give me the Seahawks -5.5 over the Panthers. Again, it's a bet against. It's a bet against the Panthers. Last week I got burned on the push from the Saints. This week the Seahawks get it done. -5.5 at home versus Bryce Young and the lowly Carolina Panthers. They're going down.
I've already mentioned mine. I'll say it again. The Chargers, they're plus half a point on the BetParx app. I think they're going to beat the Vikings.
That line's got to swing back around, though.
I think it will. But for now, like you said, as we record this at 12:42 on
what would you take it down to? How many points would you lay if that goes in the other way?
Like if the Chargers ended up being favored?
Correct, which I think they will be.
I would go as far as -3.5. I think the Chargers win handily.
Nice.
I could see the Chargers winning, like 24-13. I think the Vikings struggle, and I think the Chargers win. So give me the Chargers. You've got the Seahawks, and I think both those picks are good picks. So
we'll see next week.
We'll see next week, because guess what? We'll be here same time, same place.
Same channel.
Same channel, that's right. BetParx Studios. But before we wrap here, let's talk and to remind the people about the Primetime Xtra Down Promotion only on the BetParx app. So if you're listening out there, opt in for any primetime game, Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. If your same game parlay loses, you will be rewarded with a $20 bonus bet. If the parlay must be 3 legs or higher and plus 300 odds or greater. And right now you have to opt in, and you'll see the promo page for details.
You got to bet at least 20.
Bet at least $20, but you will get your money back even if you lose it.
Bonus bet.
Bonus bet back. You will get a bonus bet back even if you lose the parlay. That's why we swing for the fences with our parlays, and we're going to have a parlay for the people. You'll explain it right now for the Giants and the Niners on Thursday Night Football. What's our Mark and the Maniac parlay for the Primetime Xtra Down Promotion?
Well, this is a full Mark and the Maniac collaboration here for same game parlay. Thursday Night Football. Get the week started early. You like George Kittle over 42.5 receiving yards versus the Giants.
I do.
I like Kittle also. I really like that pick. So we're going to put him in there for the same game parlay.
Yeah.
I think the Giants, they caught fire in the second half against Jonathan Gannon's defense. Came back, huge win. No Saquon Barkley this week.
Correct.
But Daniel Jones is going to have to sling it. The under for Giants points is currently at 16.5. I think they score over 16.5.
Booting the over.
Against the 49ers. So let's take the Giants over 16.5 points. We got Kittle, 42.5 receiving yards.
And what's our third leg?
I love this bet. I love betting on field goals.
You're so funny.
Let's take over 3.5 field goals total in the game.
So funny.
Put that together. It's going to be plus 650. Throw $20 on it. You win 130.
You got a little Graham Cano, don't you know?
Graham Cano, don't you know? Robbie Gould.
Gold and Cano. That's a
rooting for field goals. Nothing like it on Thursday Night Football.
3rd and 7. We need a sack, but then a good kick.
I love it. So we'll take the over 3.5 field goals. We'll take Kittle over 42.5, and we'll take over 16.5 Giants total points.
So that's the prime time. That's our Primetime Xtra Down Promotion reminder. That's our parlay for Thursday night. But you can also bet it on Sunday Night Football for the
Raiders and Pittsburgh
Steelers.
game.
And then the Monday night, there's two games.
You can pick between one of 2 games for that one. So you got
Eagles or the
Bucks,
or the Bengals and the Rams.
And I'll have one for you on Monday.
Yeah, Maniac will check out his Instagram and our social media. All right, Maniac, before we wrap our 3rd episode of Mark and the Maniac, anything else you got to say to the people?
I got nothing to say. Let's go Seahawks. Lay the 5.5. I think they're my absolute stone cold lock of the week.
I love it. You heard our parlay, so that's going to be exciting to see if they hit next week.
Seahawks and Chargers, baby.
We have our picks, and fly, Eagles, fly. Let's hope they beat the Bucs on Monday night.
I think they will.
Well, there you have it.
Let's
He's Maniac Malloy. I'm Mark Feldman. Thanks for listening to Mark and the Maniac Week 3, presented by BetParx.
See you next week.